Hello everyone. Welcome to the penultimate episode of Far Off Films podcast. I am the Lord Humongous from the Wasteland. Who else is here with me?
I'm the feral kid from Fury Road, allegedly. I don't know.
No,
And I am Furiosa.
Furiosa.
Welcome back.
They took
I'm
Furiosa. They took Furiosa.
No, you're Auntie Entity.
Yeah.
Is that what her name was from the third one? What was
Yeah,
her name? The
Tina
Tina
Turner.
Turner characters? Yeah,
Auntie
that's what I
Entity.
thought. Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh, Auntie.
Yeah, sorry. What were you gonna say, Luca?
I want to be Mary,
Oh yeah, you
like
could be Mary.
Furiosa's mom. Woo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, please.
He was bad.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so sick. But we'll get
It's
there
funny,
later.
like, we'll get there, but, like, I just wanted to point out that, like, like, the woman that, Furiosa's mom was, like, riding the horsey with, like, at the beginning, like, apparently that
Oh
was,
yeah.
apparently that was Chris Hemsworth's wife, which I didn't even know, because, like, the first time I saw the film, I was like, isn't that, like, Vin Diesel's, like, side piece that he fucked during, like, Fast and Furious 5 and 6 or something like that? But then I was just like,
she's in the film twice as well. She plays another character. She's like that kind of like game thing, like where the people are fighting each other to get the motorbike. She's the really like bloodied woman with the face.
I didn't even know Twice was a movie, so I'll just take your word for it. I just know she's just from the Fast and Furious franchise, and that's about it. I don't know her from anything else. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
but
Actually.
yeah. So, but yeah, I guess we have 4 Mad Max movies to talk about. So I guess we don't really have time to
Should we
get
just get right into it?
movie it is. Yeah, I think we
Yeah.
should just jump right into it because I don't know about you, but I have a lot to say about. Well, I have a lot to say about the third one, I guess specifically. Let's do this in order. So from Mad Max 1 to Furiosa in chronological order. So
yeah, my recommendation was the iconic Australian series Mad Max, all directed by George Miller. This is the first 3. I was going to recommend Fury Road, but Timmy ruined that when he decided to recommend it a few months ago.
sorry.
So this is just the original trilogy from the 70s and 80s. So starting off with 1979 low budget film started it all called Mad Max.
79. Oh my god.
Yeah. So
Damn.
did we think of Mad Max? You want me to start off? Or
you start off, Mr. Mad Max.
yeah, I'm a very 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 big fan of Mad Max Fury Road in my like top 15 films of all time. I worship George Miller like a god. And yeah, this one is it's very kind of, it's unlike it's his George Miller's first film or first feature length film ever. He's kind of still finding his footing. It's a very kind of low budget kind of, it wasn't immediately, it throws a lot of people off that the series wasn't immediately in like deserts or anything, that it actually was just kind of just set in rural Australia at first, which is kind of like a crumbling society, but there's still some semblance of order. But I think it's a really really enjoyable film. Lots of great action, lots of great stunt work, very kind of endearing story. There is a story, not much to speak of, but like it is there. And it's not the best, but I don't think Mad Max has ever been about story. And yeah, I think it's a very good little film.
Yeah, no, I think that was just the most frustrating thing about the movie for me because like this is a series that like isn't really about story. Like no one really gives a shit about like the continuity or the plots of these series. But in this one, it really, really felt like George Miller really wanted me to give a shit about the story and the characters in this one, which I'm gonna be honest, I for
Really?
the life of me could not give a shit about it. Yeah, because like the second half of this film is just dedicated to just like, oh, Mel Gibson and his wife and his kid, and like, oh, their happy
Yeah,
relationship.
that's
Oh, aren't
true,
they cute together? And
actually.
it's like, I don't really give a shit about any of this. Like, I don't care. Like, just get back to the action scenes. Because, like, in all honesty, for a first time feature film, like for a movie that's supposedly this guy's first film, like the action scenes were pretty great. Like, especially because like what this movie was made for like $5 or something like that. Like a lot of the
Yeah,
action
pretty
scenes that
much.
he pulled off were surprisingly impressive, you know, like at least during the first half. The second half, like, definitely screams, like, fuck, we ran out of money at this
Budget.
point in the film. Like,
Yeah.
let's just, like, yeah, let's just, like, throw some other shit in here. But in all honesty, I kind of respect the movie for that. Like, even though, like, they clearly ran out of budget, like, they're still, like, let's still try to get, like, some, you know, some sort of
Mm.
cool shots, you know, with the action scenes and stuff like that, you know, and like I think in the end for me this is a film that I respect more than I actually like, you know, like I respect it for a lot of the impressive stunts that they pulled off, but
Oh,
I literally cannot connect with anything else in the film. Like I every time like there isn't an action scene, my brain immediately like just goes to like sleep mode. I'm just like, oh god, like hurry up and get to another action scene already.
Yeah.
So but that's
It
just me.
definitely has the most like dialogue out of any Mad Max film, which I think is like
mm.
the weakest aspect about it. But I think it's also it, it's interesting because like it's there is a lot of weakness to it, especially in its focus on like dialogue and attempting to tell a kind of story. But I think the very kind of grittiness, like the fact that his wife and kid do actually die, like mid story. There's a lot of like a rebel attitude. Like he was clearly trying to do something different, like having the revenge kind of start, or the what should be kind of the inciting act of revenge takes place like basically over halfway through the story. I think is like a really
Mhm.
really really bold choice that I really like. um and I think, yeah, because as you said, they obviously did run out of money at some point. That the film, it doesn't really have a story for like the first half, and it's only after a certain point that it sort of has a story, because it's like there's like the Knight Rider opening. He gets like the V8 Interceptor. The people come to town and like uh just terrorize all those people and that and that.
That was really
And
fun, by the way, like, the opening, like,
yeah,
Knight Rider chase, that was a
the
lot of
Knight
fun,
Rider,
I
yeah,
quite
it's
liked that,
amazing,
yeah.
amazing.
Mhm.
I do really like the character of Goose. Um, I think he's a really fun character. Uh, very very veteran Australian actor whose name I'm forgetting, but he's in TV a
Do you
lot,
think
and I think
do
he's
you
in The Great
think
Gatsby as well. I think.
oh, great, that great film.
Yeah,
Um,
that great film.
do you do you think Top Gun ripped off of this character? Because they also have a character named Goose, and he also dies, like, in, like, a
Ooh,
tragic,
that's
like,
true actually.
accident or whatever. Do you think Top Gun
Oh.
ripped this movie off? Like, I
Maybe
don't
it's
wanna
like
get all,
a
like,
Hmm.
callback
conspiracy
or a
theory.
reference or something. Because
Maybe, I don't
inherently,
know.
like, both of them are like, you know, like the like the ultimate version, like, of vehicle action movies of their country, you know? Like,
I guess
Yeah,
because
America,
like,
kind
it's
of.
because
like
The plane
Navy,
go
Goose
faster,
is
the
Pacific
such a
bomb
Navy, yeah,
finds,
plane.
and the
Yeah, and
cars go
then
faster, and
Australia,
speed
you
on
got
road.
cargo fast. Yeah.
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 Because like Goose is such a weird name for a character, so it's really like coincidental for like two characters to be
Yeah.
named Goose in two different movies. Yeah,
I'm sure it was a reference or a callback or something,
I mean,
like.
this film was like
maybe.
really,
Yeah.
really, really influential. Like, especially kind of here in Australia. Like it's very hard just to like oversell just how like how iconic this film is and how loved it is over here. Um, And yeah, it is the kind of post-apocalyptic, more in the second one, but the post-apocalyptic kind of almost cyberpunkish styles of like leather jackets and like crazy like mohawks and shit. That's like everywhere. Everyone associates that with post-apocalypse now.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this shit like inspired something like The Matrix or whatever, because The Matrix was also like super into like the leather like BDSM style aesthetic or whatever, you know? Like, I mean, all that shit is just more in the second movie, if I'm being honest. But yeah, like I can understand like why like this particular aesthetic of like tight black leather clothing and like mohawks and all that and hockey pads and all that shit. I can understand why like this movie was like popularize that sort of aesthetic when it comes to like that kind of film.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually know what you guys rated the movie, but just off general vibes, I think I'm probably somewhere in between Timmy and Jules. I think I agree, like the story elements, whatever. I also just kind of turn my brain off at moments, but like it is fun. And it does have a special charm to it. Um, just like that gritty Aussie fucking going out with the boys and just shooting some random shit in the fucking outback. Like it has like
Yeah,
it has a charm
not
to
really
it,
the
you
outback, but yeah.
know? Like yeah, not really the outback, but you know, like yeah.
I think
Um
this is the one where I am most curious as to how they pulled off a lot of the stunts out of all of the three films and it's purely because like this one is just made for the cheapest. Like this is the first one that George Miller made. So like I'm sure like getting
Yeah,
a
he
lot of those
basically
like
funded it
those
himself.
like yeah, I'm sure a lot of those like crash scenes like would have been really difficult to like pull off. Like I'm very curious as to like how he would have like pulled shit off like that. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I
Yeah,
mean,
continue
they were
with
just kind of like
whatever your point.
they were just kind of doing whatever. Like there was a lot of risk involved. Like there wasn't much
Mm.
safety involved, and I think that's what makes like those action scenes so good, and was partly what made the film so like shocking at the time was because the low budget. It's clearly a low budget film, so the fact that there's like that thing where like the car crashes like straight through the caravan and stuff. It's like, oh my god, how did they pull this off? Like this is like crazy
Mm.
for like just how kind of in indie, I guess it is. Kind of
It's an
much of a
indie
B
film. Yeah,
movie
I
it
can
is. Like
imagine like
Roger Corman never would have done something like that.
yeah. Like this is like the level of like, you know, like kind of like how like John Carpenter is able to like pull off a lot of like really impressive shots like in essentially just super low budget like horror slasher like type shit, you know? Like this is kind of a similar situation where it's like the movie is made for like 10 fucking dollars, but like it got some really impressive shots to the extent that like I can totally understand like why this movie would be like not just really appealing to just an Australian audience but just a regular audience in general because like but from what I
Yeah,
researched
it was
apparently this
really
movie was like
profitable.
super like financially successful or something like it made like
Yeah,
$100
I think
million
it's like
dollars
it
on
was
like
the
a
most profitable film of all time until Saw, I think. Or
okay
not
which makes
Saw.
sense
Pro- I
yeah
saw Paranormal
oh
Activity, I think, was the one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it makes sense because, like, I mean, just judging from just the action scenes alone, yeah, like, I totally understand, like, why this would be hugely influential, hugely popular. Because, like, all those chase scenes were just like, damn, you pulled this off for, like, $5 fucking. And honestly, that's really impressive. Like, good on George for pulling that off. Now, to be fair, at the end, I wish that was the whole movie. I wish the whole movie was just like the opening chase scene. I wish it was just mostly action scene because anytime the movie like grinded to a fucking halt to like tell its dumbass story or like, you know, have dialogue in general, it's just insanely uninteresting. I'm just like it's not interesting. It's not like it's something I've seen like 1,000 times before, and it just like every time I'm just like, I really hope we get to another chase scene soon because like this is not doing anything for me. I'm just really just uninvested in this. You know, like I don't know.
It's also because
Maybe
it's
it's
like
because
the
maybe it's not fair for me to say because like I don't know. Fury Road was my first Mad Max film, so like maybe that set the wrong expectations for me.
Yeah,
But like,
I actually want
I feel
to.
like
I want
a
to
lot of
comment
people
oh
on
my
have that,
that.
to
god.
be honest.
I want to
Okay,
comment on
yeah, go
that.
ahead.
That's what I was
Yeah,
trying to
go
say
ahead, Luca.
earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to set like the scene for how I watched these movies. Okay. So I rewatched Fury Road. Okay.
Okay.
Then I saw
Big mistake.
Furiosa. Okay. And
Yeah.
then I started with Mad Max 3 and went through 2. I mean, sorry, Mad Max 1 and then went through until 3. So like the ground like the what I only knew of Mad Max was this deserty hyper stylized like wasteland, you know? Um then to watch this movie was the biggest sense of whiplash I have ever experienced in
I
my
experienced the
life.
same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, wow, this is where it all began." Where it all began. But like it it also added to that charm that I was talking about earlier. I was like, "Wow, like this George Miller guy is still hanging on to this little baby that he created like way back when." And I think it's like sweet, you know? It's
It's a Star
like
Wars. It's kind of like his
yeah,
Star Wars.
yeah.
Yeah.
Except like the
So,
more he makes them, the better he gets at making them, rather than like
Yeah. Which is the
the more
opposite
that
of.
come
well,
out, like
he had a
the
Yeah.
dip in
shittier they come
between,
out.
but we'll talk about that.
Sorry.
He had a dip in
Oh,
between, but
yeah. There was a little pothole, but it's fine. You know, we got through it. He took like a 20-year break, and he was like, okay. Well, actually, it was probably more than 20 years, right? Like, when did
When
Mad
did
1985
Max
to
3 come
Thunderdome come
out?
out?
2015.
Wow, it was that long of a gap. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, he was
Yeah.
trying to make it
So
as
he
early as like the 2000s, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
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 Um.
I agree. Like, cause again, Fury Road and Furiosa like gave me the wrong expectations. But when I realized that the movie was taking place in essentially just regular Australia, I was like, oh, this is kind of
It
weird. I
doesn't seem
wasn't
so much
like
like the order is collapsing. It just seems like regular Australia.
Yeah, like, I was like, "Is this really" like, cause like, they kept insisting that. They kept insisting on, like, "Oh, society's about to crumble. We're the last, like, stand between, like, law and order and chaos," or whatever, but, like, I didn't really get that vibe at all. Like, it felt like the movie was, like, telling me that, like, "Oh, society is, like, near shambles," but the movie didn't do anything to actually, like, express that or show that, so it was just like, "Oh, like, I guess society is about to collapse," but, like, I wouldn't even there's no way I would have known that because it just feels like regular old Australia. Like, I don't like to me, like, this felt like more like a weird documentary of just regular Australia more than just like some like weird like pre-apocalyptic like action movie, you know? Like but again, like at the same time, it's not something I'm like hugely like negative on because again, the movie was made for cheap. Like it's not like George Miller had like the money to like move his crew to like some random desert in like Africa or something like that. So like I'm gonna give him some credit here, but like still, I think he could have done a better job of like showcasing how like how fucked society has become because like aside from like the biker gangs there's nothing about the movie that like really like shows me that society is about to crumble, you know. It was just a lot of I guess I
Yeah.
believe you, I guess, like I guess I'll take your word for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Like
I
we
mean,
were in
the kind of
class and
the
oh, sorry.
oh, I was yeah, whatever. Well, the kind of the genesis for the idea of it was just that like because George Miller was a doctor before he was a filmmaker, um, and he just kind of saw because he grew up very rurally because there's just like places in Australia where there's like such long stretches of like road where there's like no one and people just go like they just fucking as they say in the
Just
film
zoom
fang
in.
it. Um,
Bang it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure South Africa has
Fang
those places
it,
as well. Like,
fang
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
We don't say. You sounded like you said something very different
Yeah.
there, Jimmy.
What did
Don't
I
try to
say?
say Don't try to say Australian phrases in American, Timmy.
We don't have
My American
fangage. We don't have
once again,
that.
my American accent is just ruining everything. I'm sorry.
It is very funny learning that Americans don't know, or seeing Americans learn, or just people from other places learn that a lot of the phrases said are just like Australian things that we say, like in the Furiosa when he goes like, "No one's gonna scum us anymore." So there are like places where the people do that in Australia, and that's kind of where this started from. And originally, like the idea was it was just going to be like kind of like a gritty kind of crime drama, but then there was no he then he didn't have the money to like
There's no
shut down
crime in
streets in
Australia.
Melbourne and stuff.
Oh
So he was just like,
yeah.
It would
oh,
be
if I just set it a few years in the future, then I can film it in the
So.
country and just like be like, ah, it's like, post-apocalyptic, like the gangs are ruling the highway now and stuff. And so so it wasn't really ever meant to be post-apocalyptic. It just kind of came around like that.
It just kind of happened to be that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jules, you know how you said like you could still see skid marks, like from people like
On the
racing and stuff
roads.
like that? Yeah, like that's a thing here too. Like, people go out like drag racing in like the middle of the night, and like the next morning you can like see the skid marks on the roads. Like, yeah, very funny.
Man, you guys live exciting. You guys live exciting lives.
It's just very funny because like I'm constantly when I'm watching this movie, I'm like that gif of Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because I just recognize like all the places being like, oh, I've driven on that road. And there's the one because this was filmed like very close to me, like the exterior of the MFP building is like 5 minutes from my house. Um
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, yeah. And the the road where the opening chase happens, I've driven on that road many a times, and there's always skid marks on it because people drive along that road like so fast because it's the Mad Max road, and they say stuff like, "I am the Night Rider," and
That
Love
was a
it.
fun
oh
character.
yeah,
I really liked the Knight Rider. I really liked his little antics, his quirky dialogue. He was a fun character. It sucked he died like 10 minutes into the movie, but like oh, and
he feels like
speaking
the
of
most Mad
characters,
Max
I actually
character in the film, to be honest. Besides like Toe
yeah,
Cutter, I
I was
guess.
just gonna yeah, I was about to say, like, I didn't realize that the guy who plays Toe Cutter is the same guy who played Immortan Joe in Fury Road.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
kind of a cool little tidbit. Yeah, I didn't
That's the
realize
thing
that.
that
And they're
he
such
kind of just
different
likes
characters
doing. He just
too.
likes bringing back like old people and like putting them in like other roles.
Mm.
Like he does that with Josh Hellman, and the guy who plays Immortan Joe plays another role in Furiosa, as well as playing Immortan Joe.
That's
Yeah,
so funny.
yeah. So yeah, he kind of likes that kind of troupe of actors kind
Mm.
of thing, like that kind of thing that
Hmm.
Bergman had almost and stuff. Yeah.
It's his family.
Mm. Yeah, it's as familia,
Th-
as
This
Vin
is the
Diesel would say.
Yeah.
real. This is the real movie about car over the top car action sequences about family. Fuck you, Fast and Furious. We've got Mad Max.
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah, I'm a big Fast and Furious fan, and like yeah, like none of those movies are nearly as good as even this one because like
I
this one
wish
is
they could
just
be as
like
good as that.
yeah,
Wait, did
exactly,
I
yeah,
did
because
I
like
hear this correctly? You just said I'm a huge Fast and Furious fan,
well,
and then you
okay,
said all of
it's
them are shit.
well
It's like
because like
it's like a
eh,
love to hate relationship.
no, it's like an ironic love. It's like my
Yeah.
feelings towards the Fast and Furious franchise are like similar to like say like the Saw franchise, for example. It's like kind of
Okay.
that kind of relationship. You know,
Yeah.
like they're all dumb. They're all like kind of bad movies, but I still like get like enjoyment out of them, whether it's for like ironic reasons or because like there are actually moments where it's like, okay, damn, you got me there, movie. Like that one was pretty cool, you know. But yeah. Anyway, I think for this one, I mean, you guys can talk more about it if you want, but I feel like there isn't really much else to say because the film kind of
Yeah.
just like speaks for itself, you know? It's like very like it's very low budget, it's very grindhousey, very B movie ish. Not Jerry Seinfeld, just like B movies. Um, you know, because like again, like the main thing I took away from the film are the action scenes. I think the best thing I can say about this film is that like this very much like established what would become this franchise's like identity, like particularly with the action scenes, because like the way he shoots like the car chases, for example, are like, oh, like this one like kind of felt similar to like, you know, some of the other shots in like Fury Road, you know, like I really love those moments where whenever anyone like crashes into like something, like it's like a quick like 2 second shot of like their close up like screaming face or whatever, like close
Yeah,
up on
no,
their
I'm with
eyes or
you.
whatever. Like that shot is like, yeah, like I love those kinds of shots, and those shots are like pretty like regular in like the rest of the Mad Max franchise. And I was like, oh, okay, like I can see like how this movie would like build this like monumental, influential franchise. I was gonna say financially successful, but Furious ain't doing very well. But you know, so
I think
Despite
I
Hideo
disagree with
Kojima's best
you.
efforts. Um,
yeah, he tried his
yeah, I
best,
mean,
you know.
yeah, I think the thing that separates the first one from like the rest of the series is just that it focuses. It's the only one where I consider him, like Max himself, to be the main character, because he's more of a in the other ones. George Miller got it down to he's more of like a sort of a mythological figure, um, who just kind of comes in. He's almost like a legend, but in this one, he's more of like a character. There's not much of it. He doesn't have like the legend kind of part of him down, like the legend of the road warrior, uh, who just wanders through the wasteland alone in search of his righteous cause, and just kind of helps some people. But yeah, in this one, he's more of like a character, which I think is kind of the thing that separates it the most and makes it the weakest one. Or not? No, actually, no. I could never call it the weakest one, but just it separates it from the rest of the series in like a very different way because he was still obviously finding his footing. So yeah,
Yeah, maybe this is a hot take, but like I think Max is the least interesting in this one purely because like I think he's more
because he's the
interesting
lead.
as this
Yeah,
like yeah, because he's the lead, because
it's
like he's
like
given
Goose is
so
like
much like
infinitely more interesting than him
oh yeah, 100%. If the main character was Goose, hell yeah, I'd be like way more into this. But I think like
Mad
Max isn't
Goose.
like, I'm gonna be
Mad
honest, I don't
Goose.
know if this is a hot take. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I don't think Max is that interesting of a character. Like, I always think
No.
of him as like I always think
Oh,
he's best suited as this like surrogate character, like for the audience, where like, oh, he's kind of like a stand-in for the audience because like he doesn't know what the hell like especially in like 2 3 and Fury Road, like he doesn't know what the hell's going on, you know, he's not involved in any of this shit, you know, like he's kind of like a silent observer like type character who, you know,
I don't think
he's a
that's
stand-in for the audience for the characters like that make way for like way more interesting and kooky and like weirdos and stuff like that. Like, but when he's like a main character who like actually has to like get development and characterization, again, my brain just immediately turns off because I don't give a shit about any of that because it's not interesting. It's not unique. It's not like compelling. It's just like shit I've seen 1,000 times before, you know, like and they've all done it better than this film, you know, but
yeah.
so
Yeah, I mean, I disagree that he's like he's an observer because he's like usually a direct participant, but he's more of like I consider him like he's like a guide, like just someone who kind of comes in and helps people and just helps them get to a better place because that's kind of just what he does because he doesn't really
I
have
guess
anything
that's a
else
better
because he's
way.
lost everything else. He's like a man who's stripped to just his rawest soul. Like he's mad, as the title implies, but he's not. He's
I mean,
not
not
really.
really. Like, not really. Like, I feel like these three movies don't really live up to the title because, like, Max doesn't really seem mad. He just seems more like unhinged and annoyed than mad. Like there's nothing about like
Yeah, but
because when
that's
I
what
watch
they mean
Fury
by
Road,
mad. It's not mad in like the sense where you're like, oh, you're angry. It's mad in the sense where it's like it's crazy, it's kooky, you know? It's
well,
like,
but he doesn't
and that's
even
what these
seem that
movies
crazy or
are.
kooky. Like when I watch like Fury Road, when I watch Tom Hardy's version of Max, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a kooky guy. That's a crazy guy. But when I watch Mel Gibson in these movies, I'm like, you don't really come across as like crazy. You just come across more like Mel
He's
Gibson-y, I guess,
iconic though. He's so
if
good.
that's the
So
I'll get into this
silent and
more.
brooding.
I'm gonna get into this more in the second and third one, but I have a lot of issues with like Mel Gibson's like portrayal as this character. But yeah, I'll get into that in the second and third one. But yeah, it's just in this, it's just
You're too
like
attached to
you're not
Tom
really.
Hardy.
I guess, but like I also just don't like Mel Gibson, like either as a person or as like a creative artist, you know. But like I'm trying to put my biases aside when I watch these types of movies. But again, it's just like it's the same way how I feel. Like I don't really see what the difference is between his approach to this character in these movies and then something like say like Martin Riggs in like Lethal Weapon. Like I don't really see what the difference is other than like he has different accents. You know, like I don't really see what the difference is like in his like approach to playing this character that I haven't seen in like his approach to like playing like an action character in literally any other action movie he was in. Like I don't know. That's just me, but whatever. I know I'm in the minority. I know you guys disagree, but whatever. I just want to establish my feelings.
Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that all we got to say about the first Mad Max, I guess?
Yeah, Luca, if you have something to
Yeah.
say, like, please go ahead. Like, we didn't mean to interrupt or like talk over you or anything like
I
that.
think I'm just like perfectly in the middle of both of you, like just for everything that's been said. Like, like yeah, like for these first three movies, I think I'm more on the side of Timmy. Like, I don't, but like even then, like, because Max has always just kind of been there to like initiate the crazy shit that you'll see, but like when it comes down to like Fury Road and I mean obviously Furiosa, like Furiosa is the main character essentially of those movies, you know, like she's the one I care about more. And then in these movies, the first three, it's like okay, Max really fucking shines in Thunderdome, which wait, no,
Road
Wait,
Road
Warrior.
Warrior,
is the worst?
which
Oh,
which
yeah.
which we're about to talk about now. But yeah, and the other two, I kind of see him in a similar way. He's just kind of there, I guess. Yeah, you know. But it's not like I'm not really coming to Mad Max for like this kind of stuff, especially the earlier Mad Max. Like I'm there for the stunts, for the crazy action, you know. Like yeah, and the
Got
Yeah.
charm.
vibes for sure. Yeah, I guess I can say that as well. It's got the vibes. What did the dad say from the
It's
castle?
about the vibes. It's about
It's
the vibes.
yeah,
About
yeah,
the
it's about the
vibe.
vibes. Yeah, see, I quoted an
Running
Australian
it back.
movie
Running it
yeah,
back.
to talk about an Australian movie. It's a Australiaception.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
saw you rated
Mm.
yeah, you rated Animal Kingdom lower, and I was like, did Timmy hate Mad Max so much that he was like, I gotta take my anger out on some other Australian films as well?
Honestly, it kind of felt that way because I was just like, damn, if these like classic Australian movies like just don't do anything for me, maybe I didn't like Animal Kingdom as much as I did. So I just dropped it down to a 5 for that reason. So um and eventually I kind of I'll get into this more when we talk about the second one, but like for these first two, I had them at like a slightly higher ratings. But then the more like the days went by, I was like, damn, I literally don't remember anything aside from the action scenes. Like if that's all I can remember, then like maybe they weren't that good or fun to begin with. So I just dropped all their ratings down by 1 point because I was just like, I don't remember anything else if I'm being honest. So um but
Down.
yeah, I guess we can get into ratings now if we're done talking about the first one.
I'd give Mad Max a 7 out of 10. Very, very endearing kind of filmmaking spirit. Very badass in moments. I do love Mel Gibson. Yeah, and it may not be the best, but I have a very soft spot for it. So yeah, 7 out of 10.
Jules' quote of the year. I love Mel Gibson. Take that out of context,
Yes.
people.
Yeah. Normally I'm last, but I give it like a 6. 6. Yeah. 6. 6 or 5.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I liked it. I think it had more positive to good, like Jill says. It's endearing, and it's fun to see where it started. It's fun to see where it started, even though it gets way better. Yeah.
Cool. And I'm giving this one a 4 out of 10. It was whatever. The action scenes were great.
Wow.
I think, like, in all honesty, I think my ideal version of this movie, like the ideal cut of this film, is just they cut out everything that is an action scene and just show that. Like, then it would be like a 6 or 7 out of 10 or higher. Because again, that's the only thing I took away from the film. I did not take away anything else from the movie whatsoever. I was just like, everything else I just kind of passed through my brain. But like the action scenes, again, were really amazingly well shot. I thought those were awesome, and if they were the whole movie, then I would like it more. But oh well. But yeah, in all honesty, this film kind of reminded me, like it almost kind of felt like the first Evil Dead, in the sense that like they're both these like
There is kind of like
small,
a
low
link
budget
to
like
that, like
genre
in the
movie.
way that it hasn't really found the thing that it's most known for yet, but you can kind of see where it's
Mhm.
going. Like it's still finding its roots, and there's still a lot of talent in there.
And then by the time you get to the second one, they like clearly like understand like
Yeah, they just
what
know. They just know.
like yeah, they just know, and they just dial it to 11, then just like go like buck wild, Like so, yeah, I think they're very similar. They're their own things within their respective genres. Like what Evil Dead does for horror, this one does for like crazy action, I guess. So yeah, very similar. Yeah,
Yeah, and just action in general, I
as
think.
and as Ben Mendelsohn said from Animal Kingdom, I hope you're not talking to the cops or whatever the fuck he said. I don't remember.
You haven't been talking to the MFP, have you, mate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was really hoping you'd say something like that. That makes me happy. Okay, Mad Max 2, I
Anyway,
guess.
yeah,
The Road
Mad
Warrior.
Max
Yeah.
2, or the Road Warrior, as it was called in the US. I'm just gonna get straight into this. I fucking love this one. I think this is
Yeah, why do they call it Mad Max 2 in Australia, but Road Warrior in the States? Like, do we not like sequels or
Because
something?
Road Warrior sounds fucking sick as fuck.
because most people, because it was more successful in the US than because even though it was a very profitable film, a lot of Americans didn't see it. Like they weren't aware of Mad Max, and because it's like so detached from the other ones, they were just like, we'll just call it something else, like just The Road Warrior, and then like they
Okay.
re-released the first Mad Max after that one was
Well,
like
that's weird
went
because
crazy
like
in
they
America.
have that.
They said some shit like "Find out what made Max so mad," which is awesome.
Yeah, they had that like opening monologue though, where it's like you actually see footage of like Mel Gibson's like wife and kid. So it's like, I mean, I don't know, like this is technically a sequel. Like they did show footage from the first one. Like I don't know, I don't know what to tell you. Like I get that they were trying to market this film as like its own thing, because like I'm sure like
I mean, but you wouldn't know
general American audience.
if you hadn't seen the first one. Like, it kind of
I
just speaks for
guess,
itself.
yeah, I guess
Okay,
that's
before
fair.
we get into this one, can I just say one of the sickest movie posters ever?
I know. I
It
need
is
the poster
actually,
so bad.
it
I
is
need it
so
framed.
good. It is so
It is quite
good.
good. I quite liked
Hell yeah.
the poster for this one.
Okay,
Yeah,
Jules,
I mean,
go, run
yeah.
wild.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, I'm just gonna get into this. I fucking love this one. It is so good. It is so good. It's just like the absolute. Before Fury Road, it's like the absolute peak of Mad Max, where it's just like it's just like in a desert. It's such a simple setup of like there's this very isolated setup of like people kind of trapped with these valuable resources, getting kind of harassed by these gangs, and he needs to kind of help them get to safety. And the whole movie is just that, just amazing action, fucking just an amazing climax. Very little dialogue. There still is a, a fair amount, but he mostly doesn't say anything. There's very simple characterizations, but they're very good, and just an amazing, just awesome movie. One of my favorites of all time, alongside Fury Road. But yeah, what do you guys think? Timmy's gonna disappoint me.
I
Should
guess
I go
I'll go
first, or do you
next.
want to?
I'll go
Oh,
because you're gonna go. Okay.
Yeah.
okay, go ahead then. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like this one. I think it's good fun. I think it's good fun. I kind of disagree with what you said, Timmy, where like there's still, I mean, like I kind of see it, but like you said like the first one has like moments of what make the Mad Max identity, and yeah, but I feel like this is the one where like it's just fully there. It's like this is Mad Max, this is
Yeah, I
where it's
agree.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I'll concede
Yeah.
on that point, because yeah, I think this is more emblematic of like what future Mad Max movies would be. Like I could totally see like how this like would inspire uh Fury Road and Furious, because Fury Road is just basically this movie, but with like $100 million budget.
With a
Like that's
different setup. Yeah.
that's the yeah, with a
Yeah.
different setup and way more money to like spend, like it's but it's essentially at its core the same concept as this film. But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
Yeah, and I I really enjoyed it. There's some absolutely bonkers crazy stuff. Um like as much as the ending action sequence is like goddamn. I
That was
also
awesome.
quite like the beginning, like the stuff with like that random guy and the snake. I think it's like
Yeah. The
it's
gyro captain.
fun. Like yeah, the fucking gyrocopter. And it's like
If this movie
yeah,
took place in Greece, he would be called the Euro Captain.
Whoa.
The joke. It was just a funny joke.
I do not
um,
get that joke.
because Euro is also spelled Gyro. You know the food euros. The Euro cat. Never mind. Just kidding. I'm sorry. No one here.
No, yeah.
It's just a dad joke.
Uh,
Yeah. So
that joke was as dry as the Mad Max Sand universe.
stop shaming me and just
Climate.
continue with your fucking point already.
But yeah, no, I don't think it's like, I mean, obviously it's not as good as like some of the later stuff.
I
Like
think it's just
Fury
as
Road,
good.
and I don't think I like it as much as Furiosa or Fury Road, but I still had fun with it, I still had a ton of fun with it. There are a bit slower moments here and there, but overall it's just a nice little time. Yeah.
This one was kind of a frustrating experience for because like I feel like for me this one there are elements about this film that I think are really, really impressive, that I think are really great, that I do love. Like I think the action scenes in this one are just so much better. I mean, the first one had already impressive action scenes anyway, but this one I feel like dialed it to 11, and I feel like this one lived up more to its like premise of being like a post-apocalyptic like biker gangs like run the world type shit, than the first one ever did.
Mm.
um but I think for me what ultimately holds this film back is almost like kind of the same problems I had with the first one, where it's like to me it's almost identically the same problems I had with the first one, where it's like anything that isn't an action scene, I am just so incredibly checked out. Like I don't think a lot of the characters are that interesting. I don't think this story. I mean, there's barely a story anyway, but like anytime like there's like downtime where it's like characters talking to each other, like any like dialogue heavy scenes, like I am just so immediately checked out, because like I they're not interesting. They're not, their plight isn't that like, oh, like, the village is under attack by these weird BDSM sex perverts, like it's these kinky perverts. It's weird, it's like I hate that I'm agreeing with Nostalgia Critic on this one. I really, really fucking hate that I'm agreeing with Doug Walker. But I do agree with this point that he mentioned so long ago in his Fury Road review that, like, because of Fury Road, I feel like this movie is just kind of irrelevant. Because, like, Fury Road is just this movie done, like, 1,000 times better. Like, it does this concept, it's infinitely better. Like, so like, and because like everything that I like about this movie is like just done much better in Fury Road, and Fury Road also like kind of fixes a lot of the problems I have in this one. I don't really have like a reason to ever come back to this one. Because like why would I, like, when Fury Road exists, like, and I know it's not fair to compare the two because like they were made much later, the time gap between these two are much later apart, and obviously Fury Road has not only much more money to work with, but also much better special effects to work with. But this one is just like, I feel like this one is just purely carried by its action scenes and it's like its janky like tone and charm to it. Like there's a janky charm to the film that I do appreciate, but I don't think that alone is enough for me to carry the film. Like a lot of the movie is just like, oh God, like here's another scene where it's like, you're just because you lost a family, Max, doesn't mean that I can't, that you're the one who only suffered, blah blah blah, and all this other shit. Like every time shit like that is like going on the screen, I'm just like, oh God, like not this again, please. Just go to another car chase already. Go back to Humongous's ballsack already, please. So, but yeah, I
But that
just.
only happens like once in the film. When
I mean,
the
that's like a
Papa
specific
Gallo
example. I'm
says
just
like
saying, like,
the thing about
I'm,
family.
no, I'm just saying, like, in general, like, anytime, like, the movie slows down to, like, have moments like that, I'm just like, oh God, like, I don't care. I don't care about any of this, And I feel like an issue, and if we're going to talk about characters, I feel like the Gyro Captain, like, I mean, he's a fun character. He's pretty fun, but, like, the way he, like, flip-flops his motivation is just like, what the, like, really? Like, he's just like, no, I'm a selfish guy. I look after myself, but ooh, I met a hot ass girlfriend, and now I'm totally for protecting the community and being a good guy. I'm like, really? Is that it? All it took was like a girlfriend ussy for you to change your motivation? Like, Jesus Christ. Like at least with Max, like his motivation is pretty like sound. He's just like a lone wanderer. He's a road warrior. He doesn't give a shit. Like, then I don't know. Then maybe the movie just isn't really for me in general. So sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I heavily disagree, but I think that I mean most of the film is action. Like it sure there's like the opening like 20-ish minutes where but even then it just opens on action where he's finding the the gas place. But even then it's just like Max's motivations are not like he doesn't really have at any point in any of these films like a very kind of pure motivation. Like he just wants to, for most of this film, up until he does in fact leave. Like at one point where after he completes his contract, where he's like, I just need to get some gas, bro. And it's the same in Beyond Thunderdome, where he's just like, the only reason he goes there is because like someone just jacked his shit and he wants it back, and he just wants to escape in Fury Road. Like he goes through this thing every time where he's like appears at first and is like he wants something from them or just wants to have something from them, and he's very committed to that, and he only cares about himself really because he doesn't like to form attachments. But then his kind of his righteous cause kind of not persona, but just the better side of him, the side that like had his wife and kid and was like believing in law and order and stuff, is the one that comes out and is like, I have to just kind of help these people because I've been through everything with them. And that's the kind of way that he's like a mythic figure, because he just appears, and you could like this whole film is told as like a retelling by the feral kid being like, this is the way I remember Mad Max. And yeah, some of it's probably exaggerated in a way of like the way he like wanders out into the desert. Like it's no different really from like the way like the $3 trilogy, like The Man with No Name, the way that silent brooding like kind of anti he's really an anti-hero. And it's just,
that's
yeah,
a good way of describing it.
The whole the whole the whole the whole series besides number 2 is basically just tales from the wastelands. That's why they're not really connected anyway, except in this one character who just appears and disappears at will, and you'll never see him, and he's always silent, but he just does what needs to be done. He believes in something, but he's mad and all. And yeah, I think that exaggerated way of like of retelling is kind of how you could interpret those scenes where like Papagello is saying like, not everyone, you're not the only one who's lost a family, Max, and like getting all mad at him and stuff. Like it's a very obviously like a kind of cliched way of speaking.
Yeah, I was
like
groaning at that moment. I was just
that's the way it's intended to be done.
I was just like, shut up. Like I just
And that's also the reason, like, because if you're telling a story like that, the like action is like the thing that you're talking about the most, and it's like that's why the rest of it is so like muted back, where it's like, oh yeah, and then he came upon Gastown, and then he came upon the gas place, and he brought the guy there, and he offered them a deal, and then he did that deal, and then he drove down the highway, and then he came in upon 2 cars, and then they bumped one of those cars out of the way, and then he shot another one with a shotgun who was shooting back at him, and like you're obviously there to the best parts of a story are the most exciting ones. That's kind of the whole point of these films. They're stories first and foremost. That's what George Miller's always believed in, because he said like the silent cinema was the best cinema because it told the most story in visual terms, and that's kind of what, because those films also just, they were kind of almost sort of a retelling of a story anyway, with the ways that they used like, I guess, fonts, or not fonts, but just titles, like to explain an action or something, like he goes down the rope or whatever. And yeah, that's I think that's kind of why the film is how it is. And it's also like, I think just, I don't know, just I don't know how do I explain this. Just there's actually no, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna stop for a while. So just one of you guys can say something else.
No, I totally agree that I like what you had to say about like him kind of being like this, like kind of this guy like walking off into the desert. You made a way better comparison to me. I was gonna say he's like Michael Myers, like he just keeps on coming back. He somehow doesn't die, you know? But
that's
I
an
think your
interesting comparison. Yeah.
like your
That is an
comparison's way
interesting example.
like this local legend, you know, like this desert spirit kind of guy. Like he's kind of just like, and like actually, yeah, no, that's a really good way of saying it, because that also is kind of like a tribute to like the way that he like leaves in Fury Road. You know, he just walks off. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Almost
like
the
yeah,
last shot of like every film besides Furiosa and the first one is just, even the first one just is him walking out alone, just leaving,
it's
and
true.
leaving.
Yeah. hmm Yeah, I did get that like anti-hero vibe, because I like how like Max makes it clear that like, oh, he's not doing this out of the goodness of his heart. He's doing this like purely out of convenience, you know? Like when he saves that guy who got injured at the beginning of the film, he's like, "Oh, thank you," and he's like, "I'm not doing this for you. I want your gas," and he's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever. Just like take me to not Gas Town, even though it should be called Gas Town." You'll get all the
the
gas you
down.
want or whatever. Yeah, like you might as well, like, and then and he's like, no, I'm not driving your car. We had a deal, and I fulfilled your contract or whatever, like. But then he comes back, not out of the goodness of it. I don't really agree with this. I don't subscribe to this idea that like, oh, he's doing this because like, oh, he lost his family and he wants to save another family. I just think he just did this purely out of convenience, like he just like, oh,
Yeah, I mean, there's an element
they
of that
smashed
always.
my car. Yeah, they smashed my car, so I'm gonna get revenge by like driving the truck and like fuck with them, that sort of stuff. Like I always, not to say that's like a bad thing. That's what I like about the character. I like that about he's like he used to be this guy who cared about righteousness or whatever, but now he's just like he's a survivor. He's like Joel from The Last of Us. Um, but yeah, I just I see I understand what you're saying. I see what you two like about this movie a lot. And I guess to an extent I agree as well, but again, it's just it's all about like for me like do I connect with this? And I wasn't really picking up what a lot of the movie was like setting down for me, I guess, like cuz I don't know, like I guess like when I think about this series, I'm really thinking about like the impressive like car related like shots and action scenes or whatever. But because a lot of this movie's action is just people shooting fire on top of their walls or like shooting arrows at each other, like that doesn't really do a lot for me because like it's just standard action scenes that I've just seen like multiple times in any other movie. Like again, maybe I kind of went into I can imagine like this one being kind of like Furiosa for me, which I'll get into later, like where I kind of go in with the wrong expectations and I feel disappointed because of that. But when I rewatch them, knowing what the movie is, like I might like it more in the second time. Who knows? It
I
might be
think you will.
something like that for me. Yeah, but like I think in a first watch, I was very just let down by like kind of the way they approach the action scenes. Because when they do that last like half hour like car chase was awesome. I thought that was impressive. I
Amazing.
really, really liked that car chase. But again, it's like I didn't really care for much of the characters in this one. Like it wasn't like in Fury Road where like I agree because like it's very obvious, and George Miller has made this clear as well that like he's essentially trying to make like modern silent movies like in the same vein as like Buster Keaton or whatever with these films. Um,
Hmm.
but I feel like it's just done better in something like Fury Road, where it's like a lot of the characters don't have a lot of dialogue. Their like motivations aren't like explicitly said, but you can still pick up what their deals are, and you become way more invested because like George Miller uses action scenes to tell the story instead of dividing the story between story parts and action parts. But in this one, it just felt like I mean, it still used action scenes to tell its story, I guess, but like there were still like very much like slow, janky moments of like characters talking about their motivations and like, oh, I was wrong about you. I thought you were a cold, heartless mercenary, but you're actually a good guy or whatever. Like things like that just don't really do anything for me. Like I'm just there for the kooky, fun, silly action. And I guess I did get that, but like I was given a lot of other shit that I didn't really ask for. Um but again, some characters were fun. I liked the feral kid a lot. I wish he was the main character instead of Mad Max if I'm being honest, but whatever. Um but yeah, I didn't really care much for anyone else in this film. I didn't really care about the blonde haired woman with the hockey pads who had the bow and arrow. They make it seem like she's like a big character, but then she doesn't really do anything, and then she just dies like during the car chase. So I'm just like, oh, okay, that's cool, I guess. Like whatever. So again, I think on a technical level, I think this is an improvement on the first one, and I do like really connect with like the technical aspects of this film. But when it comes to like a narrative or character perspective, I didn't really care much for anyone aside from Feral Kid. He was awesome. Yeah, like the way he threw that boomerang at that guy, that was awesome.
Oh,
I quite
amazing.
liked that a lot. Yeah. So
And then
and then
that
that
one guy
like
gets
guy
his
with the
fingers cut
mohawk.
off by it.
Yeah, and then that guy with the mohawk, like he's like, I'm gonna get revenge, like just because like his like buddy got like hit with the boomerang. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. I'll give it that.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about the villains of this film? Because honestly, I mean the Lord Humongous kind of doesn't do much. Like, I mean, he's an impressive. He has a presence, but he just kind of like dies, like suicides at the end. It's more like the Mohawk guy. His name's like Wes or something. Who's like the
I feel
more
like the
kind of
Mohawk guy is
imposing bad guy.
exactly. I think the Mohawk guy is more of the main villain than anything. Because yeah, like you said, Lord
Even
Humongous
though
just
he's like
like
technically a
stands there.
henchman.
Yeah, because Lord Humongous just stands there with his crotch and his hockey mask and just kind of says scary things, and like that's about it, you know. Like at
But
least
he's
with
so
someone
good
like
though.
Immortan Joe, yeah, but at least with someone like Immortan Joe, like he's just basically the same. He's just basically an updated version of Lord Humongous, but at least he actually does something in Fury Road compared to like Lord Humongous, who just stands there with his microphone and then occasionally shoots a gun, and like that's about it.
I mean, I think they're both amazing in their own way. Like, you
Sure.
can't tell
Yeah.
me enough to love a character named Lord Humongous who looks like that as well.
Did
Yeah.
George Miller ever confirm where he got these costumes? Because it looked like he went to like some local like BDSM sex shop and he was just like, "That'll do." Like, I guess we'll get
I
these
mean, you
because
got
it
to take
seems
what you
like
can get
that,
in the
you know.
wasteland. It's not like you have much choice.
I
Yeah, that's
guess, yeah.
true.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I disagree because I think that the simplicity of the film is like the best bit of it because it's really just like it's about survival and the you just need to know all you need to know about these characters. You can, of course, you should know some of them, like the feral kid and the woman and the leader, and that's kind of like an amalgamation of all you need to know, that there's women, children, and men here who will all be killed should these people get in and steal the resources. And I think that just really works in its favor. Yeah. Of
Sure,
course, the
yeah.
action is
Yeah.
just like incredible. But I
Yeah,
think,
I mean, we didn't
Mhm.
even talk about the action. Yeah.
yeah, it's so good. Like the ending chase is like it was like the best. It was the most that Fury Road has ever really been was.
Yeah.
Sorry, it was the most that the series had ever got Fury Road esque before, or
Yeah.
to that absolute
Here,
apex before
you
Fury
know,
Road.
yeah. Hmm.
I love how the best Mad Max movies just have like a giant long truck at the
Yeah,
centerpiece of
those
their
trucks are
action,
cool.
and then just like
Yeah,
people like fucking trying to get to the truck.
yeah. Is it called a war rig in this one? Do they call it a war rig, or is that not a
I think
term
it's
that
called like the
was
gas
invented until
truck,
Fury Road?
Yeah,
Okay,
gas
because it's
yeah.
wagon,
not a war rig in this
because it's
one.
not really meant for
It's
war.
yeah,
Okay.
because
So
in this one,
Yeah,
like you can actually see like it actually has like a container for like storing gas, and like the other ones, like the truck is clearly designed to like just decimate everything in its path, you know, like
also,
so yeah.
you guys know that there was like a in the final chase, you can see where one of the stunt guys, who's like a longtime friend of George Miller, he had he in it's the stunt where the guy goes like flying off his motorbike, one of the guys that's chasing them, and he like you can see him like land, and the motorbike hits him as well. Like he like fucked up his, I think it was his legs, like so badly,
oh,
like to a permanent degree. And you can see it in the film, like the moment it happens, like it's in the
that looked
film.
like weird. Yeah, that was like weirdly like it felt real looking, you know. I mean, which is weird
Yeah,
to say because a
yeah,
lot of the
because it
action
was,
scene is
it
real looking.
was.
Yeah, because that one I was just like, oh god, like that was some quite impressive stunt you did there, stuntman
Yeah,
slash
yeah,
George
no, it
Miller. But
wasn't
then
really a
when you,
stunt.
yeah, it was more just he got hurt, and then George was like, I like this, I'll put this in the movie. That's crazy. No. Yeah, I mean, again, like I think that's the best thing about these movies, particularly the second one, because I'll give it this. Like, I had a similar feeling when it comes to the action scenes with this as I did with Fury Road, where I was just like, damn, I really hope these stunt people are okay, because like that look, these stunts look like
How
they
are they
hurt a
all not
lot,
dead?
you know? Yeah, like how are they not dead? You know, like I'm imagining like every stunt person is just scared to work with George Miller because there's a possibility that they'll get killed by like some crazy ass like yeah action
You
scene.
probably love it.
Yeah, I guess maybe. So
No one's doing movies like this anymore. Just hang out with the boys doing stunts, flipping off motorbikes.
it's quaint, it's charming. Yeah, just Not
And it's
entirely
impressive as
for me,
well.
though, I'm afraid. Yeah, it is impressive. Yeah, I'll give it that. I can see why this was so popular. I can totally see why, like, everyone really loves. I mean, some people were very annoyed. I was I was talking to John Griffin like the other day, and he was very, very annoyed that I gave it such a low rating. And I was like, sorry, I
As
don't
you
know what to
should be.
say. Yeah, as he should be. Yeah, and then Jack was also very annoyed by a low rating of Thunderdome of all things, believe it or not. So yeah, but
Well, speaking of Thunderdome,
yeah, is that all we have to say about the second one? I would assume you guys have like you guys would like gush about the film or something, but I mean I guess you guys did, but
I think it's a film that kind of just speaks for itself, to be honest. Like it's not it's not as complex thematically as Fury Road.
oh okay.
like I think it's kind of on par for Fury Road for me.
On par? No, Fury Road is
I
so
mean,
much better than this.
obviously, I like Fury Road more, but like
I would
in
say it's
terms
just
of
as
what
good
the
as Fury Road.
films give me and like what I like emotionally connect to, you know, like they are on similar levels of like the experiences that I gain from them, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can get into ratings then, if you guys are cool with that.
I'm giving The Road Warrior 9 out of 10. Amazing. Great film. Just incredible. I'd watch it any day and
Nice.
have an amazing time.
Yeah, I give it a solid 7. Which I think is what I gave Fury Road when we talked about it as well. So
Mm.
yeah, they give me the same experiences. I think they're tons of fun. Even though I don't like relate to them on the most emotional level, I think that they are really sick. And
And they're
yeah.
visual. I don't know how you're supposed to
And
relate to Max in any way, though.
yeah, it's
Like,
true. It's true. You've just got that Aussie blood, you know, Jules. You've got that Aussie blood.
you know, the film is about feeling rather. A film is you should feel a film rather than like than understanding it, and
Mm.
that's a very kind of that can sum up Mad Max very well.
Yeah.
It's
Where it's
like
a
the
purely
Hideaki
visual
Anno
medium.
approach. Yeah, it's like the Hideaki Anno approach, where it's like you're not really. It's a movie where more you feel than you think type situation. I mean, I like Evangelion more than these movies, but it's a similar approach. It's the same kind of feel. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm giving this one a 5 out of 10. I guess it's closer to a 6 if that makes you guys feel any better. But like, I'll
Nah,
stick with the
nah.
5. Yeah.
Even I know
I mean,
I'm being harsh with a 7. You're just like
Well,
pissing
then
in the
give it an
I'm
bucket
just
with
8.
a
that
hater.
one. Okay, then I'll give it an
I'm
8
just a
then.
hater.
Fuck it.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Just a hater.
hell
Is
yeah,
that all I am? I'm just a hater. Yeah.
Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
yeah, yeah. So I'll see it again. I think out of all these three movies, this is the only one I'm really inclined to ever rewatch. And who knows, it might be like a Furiosa because I was very disappointed by Furiosa, but when I rewatched it yesterday, I was like, damn, I think I kind of see the vision now. So who knows? Maybe
Yeah,
it might be a similar
I told
situation.
you that would happen.
Nah, I was the
Yeah.
only one that
So
saw the Furiosa vision first time round, but we'll get to that. We'll
No, no,
get
no,
to that.
no, no,
yeah.
no, 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 no. It's just because
um,
you're not as much of a George Miller worshipper as me.
No, but when you first saw Furiosa, you were like, I don't know about that. And then you saw it
Yeah, I
again, and
know,
then
because
it
I was
clicked.
like, I didn't understand what he was trying to go for. Like, I hadn't fully been able to comprehend his vision. But then, while after thinking about it, I was like, I understand what you're going for, George. And then
Yeah,
I was able to
it's
really
weirdly
appreciate it.
one of those movies where it's like you haven't seen it unless you've seen it twice type situation, which I did not expect from like a fucking Mad Max movie out of all things.
Okay, guys. I'm going to set, because I don't have a lot of time, I'm going to set a 15-minute timer for Thunderdome. Okay.
15 minutes?
Okay.
That's not enough time for me to shit on Beyond Thunderdome. Okay, fuck.
So if you want to get your rage out, get it out quickly. We're starting
Yeah.
now.
Okay.
Just go, Timmy.
All
Go,
right.
go, go, go,
Timmy,
go.
No,
go.
actually, you two go first.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, we can go first.
Yeah, Beyond.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Beyond Thunderdome, the third one, 1985. Actually co-directed between George Miller and a guy named, his name's like George Oglivides.
Wow, fake
Never
George.
directed anything. Never directed anything again, to my knowledge, or anything major.
Great.
Yeah, and it
Great
kind
sign
of
there.
it's. I mean, I think he worked in television more, but it's a very different film. It's PG, Mad Max or M Max, and it's it was kind of well known that
Mad Max for
George Miller was a
babies.
bit.
It's
The George Miller was a bit sick of
it's
Mad
literally
Max.
what it is. It's Mad Max for
Hang on,
babies.
hang on, hang on, hang on.
Oh, was he? Okay, sorry. I don't want to interrupt. Yeah, this is interesting information. Yeah, please keep
it's kind
talking.
of he's been open over the years. Like he was a bit sick of Mad Max because he really did this one because he really hadn't really considered doing a second one until he was like, maybe there might be more here for this character. And then he kind of, because he had a little bit more money this time, and but he was like, no, I'm not doing another one. But then, 3 is too much. But then he, I think it was whoever made it was like, no, you got to make a third one, and we got to make it for the kids this time. And he's like, oh fuck, fine, like I'll just do it, because I think his reason was like, if they get anyone else, they'll make it worse, so I might as well do it, which is very noble in my mind.
Happy Feet is more horrifying than this movie.
Yeah.
Honestly, I agree with that. Like, yeah.
It's not very good. It has its moments, I think. Like, I don't think it's as bad as Timmy says, but yeah, it's bleh. It's PG-13 Mad Max. That kind of sums it up, I think.
Yeah. So funnily enough, they showed this movie at my school.
Of course, of course they would.
So that I just
only the finest of
yeah,
Kino.
they showed us Fury Road and they showed us this, and we were like also doing a little comparison. So
About which one's better.
yeah.
What was the comparison?
Just like in terms of setup and intro. So we were setting up the we were talking about the introductions to both of them and which ones were better. And obviously, I mean, Fury Road clears this one's opening.
I thought you were talking about like primary school or something, or high school. I didn't realize you were in a film class. I was like, oh, that makes sense.
No, it doesn't make sense because why would they show this abomination of a piece of shit in film school of all things? You know,
But like
so.
Weirdly enough, I do kind of still like the opening to this one.
I do too,
You know,
actually.
like that droning just in the middle of the desert, like you're thrown in right into it, you know. But like very swiftly, once it goes on, it gets just so boring. Just so lame. It feels cheaper than the previous one, which is like, I
It's
guess.
more expensive, but it feels cheaper at the same time.
Yeah, it's like weird, but like I think when you put like that like when you put a like monkey side character into a movie, it just feels a lot more cheaper of a movie, you know?
No,
Like
no, 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 no. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh shit, you're so right. Okay, that's the exclusion, okay. But like you could tell it's more aimed towards kiddies with that kind of comic-y kind of vibe, you know, or not vibe, but you know, like yeah, whatever. And yeah, I did not like this movie. Um, I honestly might feel very similar to Timmy. But I mean, I don't actually have like an outright hate for it. I just think like number one, it's not great, and then it has the other movies that just make it seem even more not great than it already is, you know? Like even that first one has like a sense of charm to see where the Mad Max universe started, but this one it like doesn't really have that. It's kind of just it's like It's like the first two are kind of like the starter Pokemon, and then this one's like the weird fucking middle evolution, and then like Furiode and Furiosa are like the final evolution, you know? It's like
No,
this one's just like
this third one is the starter Pokemon that literally no one fucking likes. You know, like if Mad Max 1, 2 are like the and fucking what's the fire chick one again? Fucking what's it called?
Torchic.
Torchic, yeah. If those two are the Mudkip and Torchic of the trio, this is the fucking Trico of the one because I fucking
No,
hate
but
this film so
Trico's
fucking
sick
much.
though.
I hate
Trico's a
this
sick
movie.
Pokemon.
Okay, maybe that's a bad example. Okay, I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
like okay, here's a better one. Okay, here it goes. The first two are the Chimchar and Piplup of the two, and then this third one is the shitty like turtle
No, but I
grass
like
one that no one fucking
Turtwig.
gives
I
a
like
shit about. Well, I'm
Turtwig.
sorry, I don't like Turtwig. Okay, I'm sorry.
Fuck you.
I-
Turtwig's the
yeah.
best one
Oh no! If you don't pick
of that
Chimchar, you're basically
generation.
wasting your time. Yeah, you're basically wasting your
Guys,
time. It's like Chimchar and then everyone else.
Nah.
Okay, so
come on, get into
yeah,
your
Jules
rant,
is
Timmy.
lost because he doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I fucking hate this film. I hate this movie with so much passion and so much fucking like darkness and hatred in my heart. Jesus Christ. So like the moment Jules told me that this was a PG-13 Mad Max movie, I was already just like, oh god, this is like a
Your hope was
PG-13 Mad
gone.
Max. Yeah, like why the fuck would I want to watch a PG-13? Like have you guys seen these movies? Like they're like violent like and gritty like and high intense. Like why would I watch a baby version of that? And so like I was kind of going in expecting the worst. And like the first like maybe like 15 to 20 minutes, I was like, I mean, this isn't like the worst thing ever. Like I get it's not that bad. I get this isn't as bad as I was expecting because you know to give it some credit, I actually do like the Thunderdome gladiator match thing. The whole like two men enter, one
Great
man
scene.
leaves, or whatever. You know
Hmm.
that was kind of fun. I mean, I think the whole like fucking
I
using
don't like that he doesn't kill
the
the guy though.
I don't yeah, because that was so stupid because that was so out of character for the character. Like this is Mad
In
Max
Road
we're
Warrior,
talking
he would
about
have
here.
fucking just bashed that
He would
guy's
have
head off.
yeah, he would have bashed the fuck out of his head. Like he doesn't give a shit. Like he came here to do a job and get his oil. Like that's it. You know, and it was such like major
Yeah, he just
character
came to get his shit
assassination.
back. Like,
Yeah, it was a major character assassination for a character that I didn't even care about that much, so I was already pissed off about that. And also personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of them using like the ropes or whatever to like jump across like the cage or whatever.
God.
It felt like it was like I was watching like the wrestler fight from Spider-Man or something, but like much more stupid. But like whatever, that doesn't matter. Like that's not even what I hate about the film. But anyway, like the first like 20 minutes, I was like, I guess this isn't that bad. I don't really see why like I guess it being PG-13, like it doesn't really make the quality that bad. But then the moment he gets like thrown into the desert and then like has to run around with a bunch of fucking babies from like the Lost Boys from
Yeah,
Peter Pan
that's
or
like
some
the
shit,
worst bit.
I was just like, oh my fucking god, like is this the movie? Like is this it? Because apparently it is because the next hour of the movie is dedicated to just Mel Gibson just like digging around with these fucking kids who just by the way none of them can act for shit. They're all fucking terrible. They all suck. None of them are interesting. They're all so fucking annoying. Like when one of them gets like swallowed up by like the quicksand, I was laughing because I was like, thank God one of these kids are fucking dead. Like I was just oh my god! And then
Never
the
could.
next hour of this movie is so fucking boring, like so insanely boring. I was constantly like checking on my phone because nothing was happening for the next hour, like nothing at all. I was just like, can something just happen already? Like please, like I don't even care what happens at this point. Just something has to happen. Like, but nothing happens for an hour, and you're just sitting there going like is this still Mad Max? Like, is this still the same like I thought the whole point of this franchise are people driving cars and then like watching cars explode. There isn't a single car for like an hour of this movie. Like this hour is just dedicated to just doing some shitty Star Wars Peter Pan baby time bullshit. And I was just like, is this all the movie has going for it? Like, can something just fucking happen already? And then, like, the last 30 minutes was just so egregious. It was so stupid because it was just like, oh, like, because like I was sitting there and I was just like, what was the point of introducing Bartertown? Like, and all the shit that happens in there? Like, was that just there as
I
just a
like the
setup so
concept
that
of
the
Bartertown.
rest of this movie can happen? And then they just like force this side plot, I get, which is I guess the plot, forced it into this other thing that they introduced in the first 20 minutes. And the action scenes are not only just lamer, because it's just a bunch of shitty Indiana Jones style rip-off action scenes where it's like they even used the stupid goofy punch sound effect from Indiana Jones. And I was like, are you kidding me right now? Like, is this what's happening? And they even do like so many like stupid like gags that are just like, is this just for babies? Like the scene where like, oh, like Mel Gibson pulls out all of his guns because it's Bartertown. You can't have weapons in Bartertown. He has so many weapons. And I was like, this isn't even funny in like most movies that this is in. What makes you think I'm gonna laugh during scenes like this? And then like they do the stupid Indiana Jones gag where it's like he runs out to catch the guy, but he's like, oh no, there are like hundreds of guys after me or whatever. I gotta run away. It's like so fucking lame. And then like once like the final chase scene starts, I was like, oh thank God, like finally something is happening. Like finally a thing that I showed up for a Mad Max movie of all things is happening. But even then it's so disappointing. It sucks because like first of all, a lot of those like shots that are in those car chases, like the shot of like the close up 2 second shot of the character's like eyes before he crashes, or even like the violence, like the intensity, the rawness of the action scenes of the first two are not in this one at all. They're constantly either like panning away or cutting away from like when someone dies or like gets run over by a car or something. Like just anytime anything even remotely violent happens in this film is immediately cut away. And I'm like, what is going on? I showed up for a Mad Max film. This doesn't feel like it feels like some weird like baby attempt to do like so many different things. It's like, oh, this is Dune, this is Star Wars, this is Peter Pan or whatever, you know, like and Jesus Christ. And then like the last like 10 minutes, that last 5 minutes where they're going through cities and the bridge or whatever. It's like, oh, it's just like the last one. It's like a tale. It's like when the feral kid was like, this is the tale that I was telling in the last one. It's the same shit, but it's just like, it's just so much less earned. I was just like, I wanted the plane to get 9/11, if I'm being honest, like because I just wanted the plane to explode because I wanted all the kids to die in this film because I hated every single last one of them. Everyone fucking sucks. Like and Max of a character is just like he just feels like this weird like Disneyification of the version that we saw in the first two. Like this is a character who handcuffed a guy to like an exploding car and says like you can either like saw yourself out of this shit or you can like set yourself on fire. But now suddenly he gives a shit. Now suddenly he cares about like, you know, a guy. He doesn't, oh, I don't want to hammer this guy because he's just a baby brain person, or oh, I care about the kiddies now because they're like my family. Like fuck off. Like this isn't Mad Max. I don't even know what this is. This is just like
It's a kids movie, basically.
it's a kids movie pretending to be a violent action movie, and I hate it. I hate this film so fucking much. It's just like Jesus Christ. I like what I
Yeah.
honestly don't.
This is like
The things I
more
like.
rage Timmy has expressed than like Tales of Earthsea, than like the Pirates movies he didn't like, than like
Even Southland Tales.
yeah, even Southland Tales wasn't this bad. Even
Well,
I think
the
yeah.
difference between something like this and Southland Tales is like Southland Tales, like I just knew going in as a piece of shit, you know, because it's like, oh, it's like some shitty like film students like version of what Deep is or something like that, you know, it's like something like that. So I didn't really like have like high expectations of Southland Tales because like I going in, I know this was like some shitty fan fiction. This one, like I don't know, I kind of had like some level of expectation. I had like some hope because it's George Miller, it's Mad Max, you know, like George Miller is like a thousand times more of a competent director than fucking whoever directed. What was it? Richard Kelly? That was it. Yeah, he's like a way more competent director than Richard Kelly. So like I don't know. I was kind of expecting something that I would like. I was expecting some level of quality, but the whole time I was like, this is awful. Like, even like the look of this film and the production value looks so much cheaper, which doesn't make sense because, like you guys mentioned, this is like the most expensive Mad Max film. I don't know how it's possible the movie looks so
Well,
cheap when it had so
until
much
Fury
money.
Road and Fury Racer.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but like, yeah, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I used the word fan fiction in the last one. This also feels like fan fiction. Like, this doesn't feel like a proper continuation of like the Mad Max series. This doesn't feel like the same character. This feels like I'm reading like a shitty fan fiction written by like an 8-year-old who like wanted to make a safe PG baby version of Mad Max for his like kids or whatever. Ooh, goo goo gaga, because that's how a lot of these characters felt. They felt like fucking goo goo gaga. Like, look at us, like, look at the camera. Oh, we're saying what you're saying. Shut up. It's just like fucking. Oh my god, I fucking hate this film so fucking much. I hate this movie.
Wow.
I gave this. Okay, look, I gave this a 3 out of 10, but in all honesty, that is way too generous. I don't know why I gave it such a high score. Like, it doesn't deserve this. It doesn't
gonna give it,
deserve
like, a
that
1 out of 10?
whatsoever. Like,
Okay,
I don't
your
know. Yeah,
time's
I'll
up,
figure it
Timmy.
out. Okay,
Yeah.
let me just say one more thing. I can totally understand why this is Nostalgia Critic's favorite of the series. Because knowing his thoughts on shit like, Pink Floyd's The Wall or like Fury Road or any other good movie, it's like, yeah, no wonder he fucking likes this shit because this shit is ass and he likes ass. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
Likes eating ass.
yeah, he likes eating ass. He likes eating Michael Pena's ass. I cannot express enough. Like, if I had an hour, yeah, I could express in an hour how much I hate this. I could shit on this film for an hour, but unfortunately, we're short on time, so we have to move on to Furiosa. But oh my god, I wanted to like bash my head against the table, like, because nothing happens. Like, I don't know how this film is an hour and 47 minutes long when like an hour and like maybe 20 minutes of it, nothing happens. Like, so yeah,
Yeah,
there
so
you
4
go.
out of 10 for me.
1 out of 10, I'm guessing.
And you, Jules?
I mean, oh wait, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you're reading first.
I mean, I hate it. Personally. I think the kind of 30 minutes up until like the after the Master Blaster fight ends, and then I think the train kind of thing at the end is pretty cool. But yeah, it's very kind of yeah. I think I don't know what else I could say about it.
Do you guys at least agree with a lot of the points I'm saying? Like, I get that I'm being super harsh, but like, yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Somewhat, but I don't think it's that bad. Like, there's still bits of it that I like. Like, I think Mel Gibson's still good.
I love
dude, you
how
don't like Belladonna of Sadness. You were giving me shit about liking Belladonna of Sadness, but yet here you are saying like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, Belladonna of Sadness is like 1,000 times better than this shit.
There's a different or sadness is like not is like terrible, but this is just like kind of mid.
Yeah. Okay. I gave it like a 3, but in all honesty, it's not a 1. To be fair, because like I said, I did like the Master Blaster. Yeah, I did like the Master Blaster fight, kind of. So yeah, I'll give it a 2 out of 10. But it's a very low 2 out of 10. I hate this. I hate this film so much. Like, I could have gone the rest of my days without having seen this film, and I think I would have been a better person because of that. So
yeah, I just think it's very below average. 4 out of 10 for me. Yeah. Anyways.
So, on to something good now. Furiosa. Yeah,
okay.
Furiosa.
Can I start with this one, guys?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Do what you guys have to do. You guys can take me out back after this episode. It can be done. You can preload your fucking revolvers, okay? Put the bullet in the chamber. But I think Furiosa is my favorite Mad Max movie.
I can see that. I don't agree, but like I think that's fair.
There's only 5, so
yeah.
No,
I mean, you don't really have a lot of choices, so
no, but like the choice is like Fury Road, like that's the choice. That's what everyone says. But
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
a lot of people say Road Warrior.
I fucking love this one. Maybe it's because it's like the only one I saw in theaters, or maybe I just really fucking vibed with the story and the action and everything. But like Jules, what Jules was saying with Road Warrior, this is just like a story film. It's just like a good like folk tale. Like Tales of the Borderlands, but for the Mad Max universe.
Tales from
Like
Waste Sea. Tales
yeah,
from Wasteland Sea.
yeah, something like that. It's just like it's like separated into chapters, and it really feels like just like like that telling a story. It's got like the wise old man and like the time skips, and just like just dropping you into the universe for like a little taste of what happened to Furiosa, and I thought it was fucking sick. I really loved it. I thought Chris Hemsworth was amazing. Obviously me, I've got my South African blood in me. I was like kind of nervous. So I was like, where's Charlize Theron, guys? But I think Anya also she kind of brought it. She kind of did really well. And I love a lot of the side characters in this movie. And yeah, I mean, like we said, the action is fucking dope. And yeah, I really like this one. I really like this one a lot.
Probably Chris Hemsworth's
Yeah.
best role. Probably Chris Hemsworth's best performance. I don't know.
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, so
For sure.
because I'm trying to think of another Chris Hemsworth like performance that I would say is like on par with this, but I'm honestly struggling. I don't think I've seen Chris Hemsworth this like.
Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, I haven't seen it, so yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Surprisingly, also coincidentally, that's the only other film where he's played a bad guy, so that should tell you something, I think.
Yeah, maybe you should just play more.
Hemsworth.
Yeah, maybe you should play more bad guy characters. Like he seems to like he was really chewing up the scenery. Yeah, more black guys. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you're just really chewing up the scenery. I really liked his like weird accent. Like it was still like his Australian accent. Oh, really?
Seagull.
That's interesting.
He reminded me of the penguin from Happy Feet. I'm not gonna lie, like the evil penguin. Like, yeah.
I get that.
Maybe, yeah. Maybe this is this is both a sequel
Isn't it weird
to
how George Miller has only made movies about like frozen wastelands or desert wastelands?
I mean, he also did Babe, Pig in the City. He did Babe, Pig in the City. I don't know. I don't know. That's like a wasteland. Yeah.
Forgot about Babe, Pig in the City. I mean, what city is it set in? Maybe it is a wasteland.
I don't know. I've never seen either Babe movies, so for all I know, they could take place in like apocalyptic wasteland. For all I know. Yeah, but anyway, I really liked this one. So as I mentioned before in the beginning, I was very conflicted. I was just like, that wasn't at all what I wanted, because like again, it was like a Road Warrior type situation where it was like, I guess I went in with the wrong expectations because I was very underwhelmed because to me this very much feels like the antithesis of Fury Road, where it's like what I love about that film is that like it's essentially just like a silent movie, Buster Keaton silent movie, but like with sound basically, which I know is like antithetical, but like it makes sense what I'm saying.
It's a silent movie with
like
sound.
no, but it's there was to me like what I liked about Fury Road is that like it used its action scenes to tell its story instead of dividing its narrative between story parts and action parts. Like they melded together very well. And in this one, it felt like we were going back to like something that like I wasn't really that big of a fan of anyway, where it's like here are the story parts and then here are the action parts or whatever. So like I really missed like when like the action and the story were like blended together very well. This just felt like we're going back to like a more traditional way of telling action movies, which like there's nothing wrong with, but it's like it's also not really what I'm looking for these days. So like I was kind of disappointed. But then when I rewatched it yesterday, knowing what this is and like kind of with having more realistic expectations, I was like, damn, I kind of see the vision. Like I kind of like this a lot more. Like I
Yeah,
was
I
really,
told you.
really
I
into it.
told you.
Yeah. You were right, Jules. You were right. I had to watch it a second time because like I think like out of all of the Mad Max films, I think this is the one where I actually gave a shit about the characters and like I was truly invested in the story. Not that I like wasn't invested in like Fury Road, but like again, Fury Road is not really that type of movie where like you go in for the characters or like the story. You're in for the action scenes basically. You're in for the film because you're watching just one long ass chase scene. That's masterfully executed. And in this one is like takes way more time developing its characters. It takes way more time telling this like
Mhm.
this like revenge story, apocalyptic odyssey type. It almost kind of like reminded me of like the first Mad Max, because the first Mad Max also had like Max's family dies or whatever, and he goes out to like get revenge on like the main bad guy or whatever. And this kind of felt like a similar thing as well, where I mean the difference being like her mom dying is like starts at the very beginning, so you can kind of see like how much like she's grown and become worse off as a person because of the shittiness that is like Dementis or whatever. And yeah, I thought it was really compelling. I was very interested in the story for once in a Mad Max film. I really liked Chris Hemsworth character. He's probably my favorite villain in any Mad Max film. Probably, I don't know.
Yeah, same.
Because like
Hmm.
just the way that
For
like
sure.
Chris Hemsworth, like yeah, because like there's something about Chris Hemsworth character that I found really really interesting. Like I love how like in the beginning he kind of comes across as this like this like he's kind of one of those like psychopaths that are just like that come across like charming and like very likable or whatever, like a Ted Bundy type or whatever. Um and you can see like why he like
Right.
leads this like motorcycle gang. But then like towards the end of the film, when he would like once he has like gray hair and he's like lost control of his gang and he's a lot more unhinged and like dictatorial and like violent and stuff like that. Like I really love like the difference between like Chris Hemsworth character between those scenes. But like at its core, you can tell like this guy is a violent, like terrible piece of shit, who just like loves being in charge. He loves power. Maybe like he might not be good at like wielding power, but he doesn't really give a shit. He just cares about being in charge and loving power. Because I love that shot where like one of his like gang members like shoots like the flare or whatever, and he's like covered in red dust and he's just like wiping his goggles and he's like basking in like the red dust or whatever. That was a really cool shot. I really liked that scene. So but yeah, those are my initial thoughts. Yeah, Jules, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a very interesting experience with this film. Obviously, you can imagine I was just fucking hyped for this, just beyond anything, beyond Thunderdome. Um, and yeah, I saw it. I think like 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago. I don't know how long it's been out, but yeah, saw it. Just opening like first session. On the Thursday, 10 a.m. And I was like, I knew that it was. I didn't have, because I'd seen all the other ones. I didn't fall into the trap of like this is gonna be like Fury Road. I knew it was gonna be something different, but I think I just wasn't prepared for how different that it was going to be. Because there's never been a Mad Max film that has taken that that has had such a like a long taken place over such a long time period, like decades, and with such like a kind of vast story. And I was a bit really unsure how to process that at first, and then I was just thinking about it more and more, and then I was like, and then I just got it, like, and then I watched it the second time, and I was like, okay, I understand what he's going for now, and I think that what he is going for is just something just so amazing that it's incredible. Like I love the film so much. It's amazing, amazing.
Same,
You
yeah.
you know
Yeah,
you did
Luca?
something very right when it takes an hour before like a big action set piece happens, yet you don't really mind because you were already invested in like
Well, there
the
is this action
characters and
set
there's
piece at the beginning.
I mean like a Fury Road-esque like action set piece. Like there is action like for
Oh
sure,
yeah,
but like I'm talking like
yeah.
a like I'm talking about like the truck fight or whatever, you know, when he's like being the war rig is being like attacked by like the bikers or whatever. Like with like the parachutes and shit like that. Like that was like one of the few like action set pieces where it felt like Fury Road-esque. Um but it takes an hour to get there. But even then, I was just like, I mean, I don't really care because I was already invested. Like, I was already really interested in what was going on, you know. But anyway, yeah, Luca, what say what you were gonna say?
I don't actually remember what I was gonna say,
That's just
but
saying.
I mean, like, yeah, yeah, I do. Fuck the world for letting this movie flop. Honestly, screw you
Yes.
guys.
Yeah.
Screw you all. If you didn't
Fuck
watch this in
everyone who
cinemas,
didn't go
fuck
see this.
you. Yeah.
Nah, Bad Boys Ride or Die. Now that's a quality piece of cinema. That deserved to make way more money. The Garfield movie, hell yeah, epic film. Deserves to make way more money.
Yeah, like I think like this this should have like had like the power and like the force that like that people were like raving over about Dune earlier in the year, because this is what that was to
Oh my
me,
god,
you
yeah.
know?
Fuck's
Like this
sake.
is what that movie was. The way everyone was seeing that is like how is what I saw in this movie, you know, like the big Odyssey type storytelling, like with this expansive universe set in the fucking desert, you know? Like I just I really love the setting and what it does with the setting. It feels like more visceral and more like believable, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but like I
This
think
feels more grounded because it takes itself like more seriously, I guess. If you,
I
it's
don't
is that a
like
fair thing to say? It takes itself more seriously in this one.
I don't know, because like
I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's
I don't
serious,
know if
but
I
it's
wouldn't
like
say for sure because I've never been.
a
I don't know if I
different
would ever
context.
label them as serious films, even though part of them are
Yeah,
serious.
it's weird, but like
It's an interesting question.
this
Yeah,
movie
like
gave me like what I loved about Fury Road and Road Warrior, but then just like pushed it even further because I was so into like the characters and the story, you know, like I didn't realize how much I actually fucking loved Furiosa in the first movie until I watched this movie. And I think that's like really special, you know, like, and I loved like just the structure of it, like putting in in like these 5 chapters, like it really like it just enforces like this like sitting around a campfire kind of like this kind of storytelling that George Miller loves, clearly, because even like his 3000 Years of Longing film, you know, like that's also a very like story driven, like, you know, movie, and this was like that movie but like better, even though they're very different. Hello everybody, it's Luca here, and I'm just here to tell you that unfortunately the rest of this episode has been lost to the ether. Obviously this episode is incredibly late, and at this point of time, none of us know where the last section of the recording is. I know it's sad, and I mean, come on, this is on us. We are genuinely the least professional podcast ever created. I'm terribly sorry for the inconvenience, but yeah, we all really liked Furiosa, Timmy gave it a 7 out of 10, classic Timmy. I gave it an 8, and Jules gave it a 9. And for the next episode, we will be talking about Millennium Actress, recommended by Timmy, Enter the Void, recommended by Jules, and Call Me By Your Name, recommended by me. And that will be the final episode of Far Off Films. So stay tuned, and hopefully this is the last inconvenience that we will ever present with anyone that is still here watching. Okay, cool. Thank you. Goodbye. Have a nice day.